Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Crypto Stu here in the Crypto Stu studio. I had another video I was going to make, but I got so much response to this last video, 644 views and 10 comments. I mean, look, I'm sure those major YouTubers, if they got 644 views on one of their videos, they jump off the tallest building and slit their own throat on the way down. But for Crypto Stu, that's like Woodstock. So I got so much response that I wanted to address the comments, and I didn't want, and I figured this is the best way. I'm just going to make a video responding to the comments from the video. So it's a response to my own video. So I'm just going to go through all the comments one by one, just letting you guys know, if you ever leave a comment on one of my videos, I read them all. Whether or not I reply, I always read them, and I don't delete any of them. So I've seen some get auto-deleted. I don't do that. I don't know why YouTube's thing deletes comments sometimes. It's not me. So I'll just go through all the comments, and I have some research here because I have read them in advance. So here we go. One guy writes, not likely. Satoshi had several people working on its development. Those agencies would likely do it under a veil. I don't really understand this comment because the veil was Satoshi. They did do it under a veil. If they did it under a veil. It was that they were a bunch of cypherpunks that went under the name Satoshi. So I don't get it. But thank you for commenting. Lots to Stu over here, Stu. Raul is a boss, and interesting points. I don't know who Satoshi is, but it's definitely not Craig Wright. Most likely not Craig Wright. And thank you. Thanks for. I mean, it made you think. That's all I'm trying to do here. If you don't think he's a grifter, you haven't been paying attention. That's absolutely right. I haven't been paying attention. It's possible you know things about him that I don't. Everything I know about him, I said in the video. So as far as I know, he's not a grifter, but he might be. All right, this one is actually what prompted me to make the video. Why would 1 million coins necessarily crash the market? There's only ever 21 million coins, so worst case, the value would drop by 1/121st. Everyone's coins dropping by less than 5% wouldn't be catastrophic. If it ever dumped on the market, then it caused a flash crash or something, that would be the buy of a lifetime. This is not correct. 1/21st of the supply going on the market all at once would cause way more than a 5% crash, and it would be catastrophic. But I mean, here, where do I base this on? Let's see. I have over here. There was a pretty good article about what would happen if it's on the Cryptopolitan, which I've never heard of, but it was a pretty good article. I will leave a link to it below. But here, again, it's more about the coins moving than the coins selling, because it's more coins that are on the order books. Furthermore, the mere act of moving the bitcoins would be a significant event in and of itself, given Nakamoto's historical inactivity. Any movement from his known addresses would garner immediate attention and could lead to speculative panic even before the selling takes place. I'd also like to address this idea that it would be the buy of a lifetime. Let me tell you something. I understand everybody thinks that that's what they would do, but it's really not true. If you are someone who holds Bitcoin and you notice, there's some alert on your phone, Bitcoin has dropped 30% in the last hour, and you're like, what is going on? And then you look it up, and it turns out, oh my God, the Genesis block moved, Satoshi's back. Oh my God. And Bitcoin is down 30, and Bitcoin's down under 20,000, from 29,000 where it is now. You wouldn't be heading to your computer to buy Bitcoin because it's the buy of a lifetime. You'd be heading to your computer to sell whatever Bitcoin you own, or you'd be going on your wallet or whatever to sell whatever Bitcoin you own, because it could drop a lot more. There's no way to know where the bottom is. I mean, you could be like, oh, well, it's down 30%. That's a great time to buy. Well, what if it's on its way to being down 90%? All right, then it's 30% a great time to buy. It isn't. And when there's a panic, people tend to panic with the panickers. They don't tend to keep a cool head about them, especially in investing. I mean, the bottom is always when just nobody wants to buy, and everybody who is going to sell has sold. It's when there's no hope left is when the bottom is in, and when there's no hope left, very few people are like, oh yeah, I'm buying. So I look, maybe you have the investment discipline that you would see it as a buy of a lifetime, but most people in that spot would be panic selling. But also the idea that it wouldn't. Here, all right. I also want to bring this up. Coinbase says the entire crypto market could be destabilized if Bitcoin's anonymous creator is ever revealed or sells their 64 billion stake. So even just the revealing of who Satoshi was, they believe would destabilize Bitcoin's market. And this was in their submission to the SEC when they were trying to go be publicly traded. So the biggest exchange that we have also sees this as a significant risk to the entire market. I'll move on to the next one. All right. I heard another YouTuber say that Google knows who Satoshi is because they would have his IP address of the blog post from the first Bitcoin forum. Good video, made me think. Thank you. That is all I'm trying to do. So thank you, Randy Dupree. I do catch the reference. How do you know that it's priced in? That's a very good question. How do you know that it's priced in? You can't really know that it's priced in. I believe it is priced in. And what do I use to base that on? I base it on this, which is... this is a major metric that a lot of people who trade Bitcoin or who control other people's money and invest in Bitcoin, what percent of Bitcoin hasn't moved in the last year? And it's about 68%, so let's say two-thirds. Two-thirds of Bitcoin hasn't moved in the past year. That means it's in the hands of people who have no intention of selling anytime soon. Well, Satoshi's coins are in this metric. So if people are using this metric to decide whether Bitcoin is a good time to buy Bitcoin, and Satoshi's coins that haven't moved in forever are in that number, then that's what I base it on. That it's priced in. All right, so that's what I base it on. But do I know that it's priced in? No, I don't. But it's a very good question. Makes no sense. They are not that smart. Wouldn't create a decentralized system for the people to try and get after it and keep it down. Well, Raoul Pal discusses that. He says they created this system just in case the system we have blows up. And it looks like it's headed toward some kind of blow up, but it's been heading toward a blow up for 30 years. So who's to say when the actual end of the road will be? But it's got to go there eventually. Just look at the numbers. If you look at the numbers on how the money is going, just how the dollar, all the currencies, that has to end sometime. I don't know when, but they've been saying this since I was a child, and I'm old now. So, but that's the idea. He also said they don't care if people switch over to this system in advance, but they want it to happen slowly. They don't want people rushing into it, and so that's why they try to keep it down. That's to make it a slow transition. Forgive my ignorance. No, don't be like that. Forgive my ignorance, but why would Bitcoin's price be influenced so negatively by the sale of the original coins? And somebody replied to his reply, because it's 1/20th of the supply. There's no liquidity for even a fraction of it, so everyone would start dumping. And that's true. If you look here on CoinMarketCap, 663,000 Bitcoin move a day, and 70% of that is wash trading. That's where it's just like bots are just trading Bitcoin back and forth just to create action. And I even have that here, how much of Bitcoin's volume is wash trading. It's over 70%. So that leaves like, 200,000 coins that aren't wash trading. And you're talking about 1.1 million being dumped on the market. But also, I don't think, all right, let me play you this clip and then I'll finish with my other point on this. All right. This was interesting. I just watched this. This is from 2 days ago. This is Stansbury Research. It's another one of the boring YouTubers I watch. They do economic videos. But there was an interesting point that's relevant to this, so I'm going to play you that. It's less than a minute, and then I'll talk again.
One last point. When you were speaking about your fears, of course, was thinking central bank digital currencies in my mind. Is that one point you were alluding to?
Well, I think the cryptocurrencies is an interesting phenomenon that arose because of excessive money printing by the Fed. And don't ever think that it was created by a poor fool in Australia called Satoshi. This is organized. I am sure the founders of Bitcoins are the same that founded the Federal Reserve in 1913. It's a new gimmick.
And he goes on, but I just thought it was interesting that this old guy who doesn't have any interest in Bitcoin, he's actually not anti-Bitcoin, he's just not he's pretty neutral on it. Even he's just like, if you think that the government didn't make this, then you don't know that you don't know how money works, that the only people who could have done this would have been government entities. So I thought that was interesting that came up. This was just from a couple days ago when we just had the video. So, all right, I'll finish with this. Why don't I think that the return of Satoshi is something to really be all that worried about? Or of all the coins dumping. The reason I don't think it's all that big a deal to be worried about if you're a Bitcoin holder is because I've been thinking about this, and I cannot think of any way that Satoshi could sell a significant amount of these coins and remain anonymous. I don't see any path there. So I believe if Satoshi is out there, his anonymity is very important, and he would end up, if he was ever exposed as who he actually is and he's around, he'd get picked up and locked up. There's no doubt in my mind that that's what would happen. You can make whatever arguments. Why would they lock up Satoshi? He just created some code. I understand. They're going to lock him up. If Satoshi's out there, he's getting locked up. That's what's happening. I don't even want to go over the legal arguments for why. They would blame him for every illegality that ever happened with any Bitcoin, and they would use it to keep him under lock and key forever. So, I think he could probably move some of his old coins, not the Genesis block, but some of his old coins to be well off or rich or well-to-do or comfortable. But the idea that he'd ever become a billionaire or a multi-billionaire selling those coins and not be exposed for who he is, no. And I think the anonymity, you're talking about the guy's very freedom. So if he's out there, I think he stays under wraps forever. So that's just, if I have to play the game out in my mind, that's how it plays out. So I have a lot of, I wasn't even planning on doing this video. I just wanted to respond to the comments. So thank you, everyone who commented. I don't really care if anyone additional subscribes. I've decided that I have 7 times the amount of subscribers I thought I'd ever get, and so I'm good. So I'm done begging people to subscribe or hit the bell. I couldn't care less. I got like between 30 and 50 people who watch my videos regularly, and that's just fine by me. I got a lot of really interesting stuff, at least it's interesting to me, that I'm planning on doing in the near future, because Crypto Stew is back. And so until next time, Crypto Stew, signing off.